Hello and welcome to the show. Round 9. So how are you all tonight? You good? Maybe not so good? Remember, our mantra is it's okay not to be okay. The most important thing to do is, if you're not feeling okay, is to talk about it. Unfortunately, at this time, a lot of facilities are closed. But nonetheless, you have our show will not close its doors to you. You have a resource here, you have respite here, and I hope to bring you as many inspirational people as I can to help you feel more positive. And we've got lots of mindfulness exercises to try tonight. If you're new to the show, these shows are also recorded, backed up to YouTube. So if you missed the live version, you can always go onto YouTube and watch the show later. So we're also joined by our resident raconteurs tonight. We have with us Laura Binney. Welcome, Laura. Laura's from the East. Enjoy the show, Laura. And we have William Ritchie. And William is from the West. And okay, that's enough of the DJ horn, until more people join us, of course. Yes, I was going to say, before I was rudely interrupted by the DJ horn, that we will have perhaps our raconteurs, our gang from the south. We might have Lee Richardson and Alex Miller, and we may have people from the north as well. Hello, Laura. Laura's saying hello. Hello, Laura. Yes, we in our show over the last 8 weeks, we've built up a gang of raconteurs who say hello and join us. And that's the beauty of this live show, is that you can interact with me. And if you've got any questions about mental health or mindfulness or well-being in general, that's what this message box is for. Perhaps you live somewhere and you'd like to find out where your local mindfulness guru is. You can come on the show, you can come on the messages and ask. And if I don't know the answer, I'll find out for you next week. Now, coming up on tonight's show, we have a very special guest. Let's dial in Brandon. Brandon is our speaker tonight, and he is a wingsuit pilot. So Brandon deals with fear and dread, sometimes on a daily basis. So we'll be talking to Brandon. Watch out for him later in the show, from America later on. We'll also be joined by local lady Jo Middlemiss from Kinross, who runs the Ethiopia Medical Project, and she was awarded the MBE. So we'll be speaking to Jo later on as well to find out about her project and her charity. Now, for our announcements, if you're watching the show, we are affiliated with 2 companies. If you're watching this and you think, I wouldn't mind having a go at doing my own live stream broadcast, if you're a Mac user, you can go into my website down here. Here's the URL, and click on the eCam link, and that will be you on your way to doing your own broadcasting, doing your own shows. Also, if you've seen some of our aerial cinematography, again, go onto the website and click on the DJI link, and that will take you to my recommended quadcopter. I think it's fantastic for travel adventure work, and that's the one I would recommend if you want to get started in becoming a quadcopter pilot. And also, further down on this link, you can, if you want to donate to the show, if you want to support us, you can click on the donate tab, and any money we get we'll put towards maybe getting a USB mic, maybe something better than these cans. Or perhaps we could, once lockdown's over, we can perhaps offer some money to a young person who wants to get some work experience in video production and broadcasting. So you can donate to our show on the link here. It's all the tabs are all on the homepage. Or perhaps you're a company and you'd like to sponsor us. We can put your logo on the screen as well. So you can get in touch with us if you want to help us out that way. So that's our announcements, and let's get on with the with our theory and philosophy, because when we used to run classes, we did have a bit of theory and philosophy. 75% of our classes was practical, and you'll be doing your practical gentle movement tonight. And tonight, I would recommend you go and grab a couple of tins of soup or Heinz beans or some fruit salad or something, which will help you with the exercise. But you don't need those at all. It's just about being involved in gentle movement. It's about being in your body. We feel stress in the body, so we work with the body. It's all about just being in your body rather than lost in thought, lost in autopilot. So last week's show, we were talking about what is mindfulness and what's meditation, because when I first started in mindfulness, I was getting confused between the two. The two are very similar, but not quite the same. So, in the next few weeks, I'm going to try and explain a little bit of the difference between the two. Last week, the focus was on meditation. And again, just to recap, the purpose of meditation is to calm the mind and relax the body. So, relax the body, reset the mind, so you can refocus on what you should be doing. Those are the 3 R's. And last week we did some concentration meditation, which is ideal for if you're spending too much time at home ruminating and it's making you ill. You need to practice some concentration meditation. And throughout the next few weeks, we'll come back to doing more concentration meditation with the singing bowls and the Chinese dragon bells. And for meditation, you need a focus, and I like to use sound, because the sound, the vibration that comes from these instruments is very healing. You can also use your breath, as long as you've got some kind of focus, because the sound, the singing bell, the singing bowls, or your breathing is always in the present moment. And the idea of meditation and mindfulness is to try and be present. Whereas if you're lost in thought, thoughts are always about the future or the past, and they're usually going to be negative as well. So that's meditation. A very brief explanation of meditation. Meditation is like anything else. You've got to keep practicing every day as much as possible to get the benefit from it. Now we're going to look at mindfulness, and mindfulness has basically, if you do a course in mindfulness, or you read a book on mindfulness, there are general 4 parts to mindfulness that you'll read. And I'm just going to give you the general textbook explanation of mindfulness. But for me personally, mindfulness is very much the essence of Zen, of being in the present moment, whether it's good or bad. You know, whether a sea is choppy or calm or both. This is mindfulness. It's just being in the present moment, accepting what is. So I'm going to give you the textbook explanation. Very much in mindfulness, it's about realizing that you're not your thoughts and you're not your emotions. Okay? You are the observer of your thoughts and your emotions. And the idea of mindfulness technique is to try and create a bit of a gap between you, the real you, and your thoughts and your emotions, because throughout your whole life, your thoughts and your emotions have been playing you like a puppet. And the problem is when most of those thoughts and emotions become negative, and then that's leading you on to that downward spiral of mental illness, which leads to physical illness, which leads to more mental illness. You're in that vicious cycle. So one way of coming out of that is by realizing that you're the observer, and that allows you to start taking control back. Because when we used to run our courses, the emphasis was on you taking control of your life back, taking control from thoughts and emotions. So you're very much the observer of your thoughts and your emotions. That's one principle of mindfulness. The other one, of course, is just doing your mindfulness practice and trying to be in the present moment as much as possible. Now, even if in the present moment you're not feeling great, you're feeling terrible, the reason why it's still better to be in the present moment is that it's a little bit easier for you to come up with solutions to your problems if you're present, rather than lost in thought, trying to repair the past or projecting some horrors that might happen in the future. And always remember that 75% of the things that we worry about happening in the future never actually happen. But the imagination can be so powerful, and that's what we're up against. The other aspect of mindfulness is being non-judgmental. Try to be non-judgmental. Try not to berate yourself because of the thoughts you're having. Very much in mindfulness is in when you're doing mindful meditation, you're not trying to stop thoughts. You're just trying to not to be in the thoughts. You're trying to be the observer of the thoughts. Okay, so you're being non-judgmental. And so when you do your meditation, if you're sitting meditating and you get lots of thoughts coming in, it's about saying not. It's about not berating yourself. Okay, it's about being non-judgmental with yourself, and also being about non-judgmental with the rest of the world as well. That's a really good practice. Once you stop being non-judgmental with other people, it's like a new kind of freedom. You're coming out of attack defend scenario. So that's the third principle, and the final principle of mindfulness is what's called, you read if you read a book on mindfulness or meditation, you read about something called direct experience. Okay, what do we mean by direct experience? Well, very simply, as I've said, we have this powerful imagination that generates 75% of horror stories that will never actually come true. And the way to break that vicious cycle, to come out of it, is to do some direct experience, such as the gentle movement or concentration meditation. You're doing something that's actually real and not what your imagination is telling you. So just to try and illustrate that a bit more clearly, I'll give you the classic example that I used to give when I was instructing mindfulness classes. Now, I work in media, so very often, and this actually did happen to me, I used to get I'd be in my kitchen quite happy, having my breakfast or having a cup of tea. There's nothing more wonderful than sitting in your kitchen and having a cup of tea and not having a care in the world. And then suddenly a thought would come into my head. Suddenly I thought like, oh, I photographed someone in the street for this job, and I didn't ask their permission. Oh no, what if that person goes to a no-win, no-fee lawyer and tries to sue me and tries to get money out of me? And then I'll start to ruminate. I'll start to visualize in full 3D about. I'll see a lawyer's letter coming through the letterbox. I'll even hear the sound of it hitting the carpet. I'll see the brown colour, the manila brown colour envelope. Those are the most scariest letters, folks. When you see a brown manila envelope, those are the scary ones, aren't they? They tend to be from the Inland Revenue, but and I'll visualise myself being up in court, trying to defend myself in court, and all that while adrenaline's going to start pumping in my brain. And the problem is if you start producing too much adrenaline, your brain becomes addicted to its own adrenaline and it can't stop. And then if things continue like that, you'll end up producing cortisol. And once you get cortisol, it's bad news. It's not the end of the world, but it's really bad news. You are on your way to major illness, and you may experience things like losing sleep, losing several stone in weight, losing the will to live once you've got cortisol. And when you get cortisol, that's when you have to get some form of medication to help balance the chemical imbalance in your brain. So back to ruminating. I'll be sitting in the kitchen. I was happy, I was okay, but because of a thought, remember, negative thinking is the source of all anxiety. Negative thinking is the source of all illness. Okay, so I'll be sitting there in my kitchen, and then the thought comes in. We don't even know where thoughts come from. We don't even know if there are thoughts. Anyway, the thoughts come in, ruins your day. It causes adrenaline to flow in the brain, and that's me on the downward spiral. And even although I know consciously this is irrational, by the time I've had by the time the adrenaline's started, it's too late. I'm going to that adrenaline is telling my subconscious mind that there really is danger. I'm really in trouble, even although I've not actually committed a crime and nothing's actually going to happen. So the way I discovered on how to combat this chronic rumination is through what's called direct experience. So I would try something like mindful tea drinking. Now, I'm hoping to bring you a report tonight on mindful eating and drinking, so that will explain this one. So I'll be sitting there and I'll be drinking my tea, and I'll focus on the taste in the present moment, and I'll think, right, okay, is there actually a lawyer's letter coming through the door? No. Am I actually in immediate danger? Am I going to die right now because I took a photograph of someone? I was just doing my job. No, so I'll continue drinking the tea, but the adrenaline's still going to be there. The fear's still going to be there. The thoughts are still going to be there. But I'll continue mindfully drinking my tea, and I'll say, right, okay, now, is there an email from a lawyer? Is there a lawyer standing outside the door? No, actually, there isn't. So I'll continue drinking my tea mindfully in the present moment because this is direct experience. Drinking tea is direct experience. It's real. The thoughts in my head are not real. Even although the adrenaline's going, so I'm believing that this could be real because the adrenaline's going. It's all to do with chemical reactions in the brain that makes these fantasy stories seem real. And that's what we've got to break out of. So what I found was that when I did mindful tea drinking over a period of weeks, suddenly the next time I had the same paranoid fear. It was always the same fear. No matter how many times you have it, it still seems as real as the first time. You'd think that your rational mind would say, "Come on, this is about the millionth time you've done this, and nothing's ever happened." But no, when your adrenaline's going, you think this is entirely possible. This horror story is going to happen. So I remember once suddenly, what happened was either my brain calmed down or my body calmed down when I was doing the direct experience, the mindful drinking. And then all of a sudden, it was like I was set free. The thoughts were still there, but the feelings were gone. The feeling of fear was gone. The feeling that I was going to die was gone because my fight or flight was kicking off when it shouldn't be. It should only be kicking off if there's an actual lion outside wanting to eat me. And then I thought, that's amazing. And I tried it again and again. And eventually I found that when I was really bad with rumination, it would take me days or weeks to calm down, to get the adrenaline out of my body. But with practicing direct experience, I could now get rid of that adrenaline in 20 minutes. And that was me back to normal, back to getting on with my job. You see, when you ruminate, you spend too much time wasting your life away. You know, it drains your energy. But unfortunately, we have to learn these techniques somehow. And that's why coming to a mindfulness class or reading a mindfulness book or going online and finding out these techniques really can help you because knowledge is definitely power. So we are joined tonight by Haley Pender. Welcome, Haley. Enjoy the show, Haley, while you can. I know you can't stay for long, but I hope you can enjoy some of our interviews tonight, and perhaps you might even have time to join in our cans of beans direct experience exercise later. So those are the 4 principles of mindfulness. We'll just recap again. 1, be the observer of your thoughts and emotions. You're not your thoughts. You're not your emotions. You are a separate entity from your thoughts. Okay, and you can see yourself either as a spiritual being, a spirit in a physical body, to help you realize that separation, or you can think about it in the sense of we have the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex in our brain, and that's the part of the brain that allows us to observe our thoughts. And when we do mindfulness and meditation, we're actually growing that part of the brain. The brain is a muscle. The mind is a muscle. Okay, just as much as any other part of the body. And you develop that when you do mindfulness to help take control. So step number 1, you're the observer when you're being mindful. You're observing your thoughts, and also in practical sessions, we're practicing our observing our 5 senses, practicing our 5 senses as well to come out of the thinking mind. Secondly, when you're mindful, try and be present in the present moment, just as when you're meditating. Try and be present. Thirdly, be non-judgmental with thoughts that come in, especially when you're doing your mindful meditation. And fourthly, mindfulness is about direct experience, about reality. And the more that we can be the masters of just realizing what's real and what isn't, the less our imaginations can carry us off into some nightmare world which never really exists. Okay, and if you watch out for Brandon's interview later on, he says so eloquently, he talks about the imagination and fear and how it just isn't real. He says it wonderfully, so watch out for Brandon's interview later on. So that is mindfulness. I hope I've explained it well enough so that you start to get a feel for it. But as I say, don't worry if it still sounds like gobbledygook, because when we did classes, I used to say to the classmates, even if you don't understand the theory or the philosophy, it doesn't matter. You're going to get mindfulness from doing our core practice. And folks, you'll be doing your core practice tonight when we do our gentle movement, and maybe next week or the week after when we do some more concentration meditation, you'll get your mindfulness from that, whether you understand the philosophy or the theory or not. Okay. So, are you ready to do your gentle movement? You ready to do some exercise? Now, as I said, you might want to run to the larder and get a couple of cans of beans, and you'll see why. And remember, it's all about being in your body as much as possible, focusing on your body, because we feel stress in the body rather than being autopilot. So if you're ready, see how you get on. Let's run the exercise. Run VT. Now for this exercise, I normally use free weights, but if you don't have free weights at home, you can use a tin of baked beans. These will do. So just join in the exercise with me, and again remember, it's all about being in your body rather than autopilot. So if you've got thoughts coming in, come back to your exercise, okay? So let's begin, and this exercise will take approximately 15 minutes. So just join in with me. Let's start with the biceps. Thirteen. 15. 20. 27, 28, 29, and 30. Relax, recover. Now we'll start with the legs. Bend the legs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Join in with me. 15. 20. 23, 24, 25, and relax, recover, just breathe in the present moment. Next exercise, arms out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and continue. 20. 30, and pause, recover, relax, just breathe. Start to be aware of the temperature in the room. Is it warm? Is it cold? Is it medium? Mindfulness is all about developing your awareness skills. Okay, next exercise, we go back to the legs. We break up all the upper body exercises with the lower. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Continue. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and relax, recover, just breathe. Breathe normally in the present moment, that's it. Recover, relax. Okay, next exercise, arms come up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, continue. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 and 30. Relax, recover, just breathe. Back to the legs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, continue. 25 and rest. Relax, recover, just breathe. Oh, that's good. Relax. Next exercise, you boxer. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, continue. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 and 30. Relax, recover, just breathe. Oh, in the present moment. Okay, legs again. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Continue. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 and relax, recover, just breathe. There we are. Relax, recover. Next exercise, arms out and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, continue. Any stray thoughts coming in, come back to your body. "28, 29 and 30. Relax, recover, just breathe. Oh, in the present moment. There we are. Relax, recover. Okay, legs again. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 and relax, recover, just breathe. There we are, relax, recover. Just breathe. There we are. Okay, next exercise. Back to biceps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Continue. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 and 30. Relax, recover. Whew, just breathe in the present moment. Relax. Okay, back to the legs. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Continue. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 and relax, recover. Just breathe. There we are. Breathe. Relax. Next exercise, arms up again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Continue. 28, 29 and 30. Relax, recover. Just breathe. Oh, relax. There we are. Back to legs. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Continue. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 and relax, recover, just breathe. Oh, and remember, any stray thoughts coming in to your mind, you come back to your body, come back to the tins of beans. Okay, next exercise, legs slightly apart, bend the knees, okay, and the arms are going to come up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Continue. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 and 30. Relax, recover. Oh, just breathe normally. Oh. Relax. In the present moment. Okay, back to legs. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Continue. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 and 30. Relax, recover, just breathe. Oh, relax. Okay, we're going to do another boxer move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Continue. 27, 28, 29 and 30. Relax, recover, just breathe. Relax. In the present moment. Next exercise, again, legs slightly apart. Bring your cans down and up. 1, 2, 3, 4, get those elbows up. 5, as far as you can. 6, continue. 7, 8, 9, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. And relax, recover. Just breathe. Oh. Again, you find any thoughts coming in, any stray thoughts, come back to your body. Okay, back to legs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Continue. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 and 30. Relax, recover. Just breathe normally. There we are. Just relax. And now for our final upper body exercise. Join in with me. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, front, 7, back, 8, front, 9, back, 10, front. Continue. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. Relax, recover, just breathe. Oh, in the present moment. And always remember, any stray thoughts coming in, come back to your body. So how did you get on? Did you enjoy that? Was that good? Well, actually, I've decided after tonight's show, I'm going to have to get out on my mountain bike and get burn off some calories, because I've done no exercise at all today. I've been indoors editing video all day, and I'm going to cycle mindfully. So I'm going to try and be in the present moment. I'm not trying to be not lost in thought, or I'm going to try not to ruminate. I'm going to try and focus on the feeling of my hands against the handlebars, the feeling of my feet against the pedals. Focus on the wind. Focus on the millions of colours and things I'm going to see. Focus on the birds, the blue sky, the flowers, the trees. Focus on the sounds of the tyres against the tarmac. Focus on the sounds of the birds. 2 or 3 of my senses is all I need to do is to focus. But even then, folks, I'll only be able to go a few seconds before a thought's going to come in. But it's about practice, practice, practice. Mindfulness is a lifelong practice and joy, and it's about just keep trying and not being disappointed and not being judgmental with yourself when thoughts come in. So, are you ready for Brandon Mikesell? What an amazing guy. Let's just go straight into the interview. So let's run VT. And on today's show, we're joined by Brandon Mikesell, who is a wingsuit pilot. Brandon does probably the most dangerous sport in the world. Now, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us on the show, Brandon.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
So I'm going to tell you how I discovered Brandon. I've never actually met Brandon because he lives in Seattle in America. But I first discovered him on YouTube because I started watching wingsuit flying videos. And the reason I did that is because partially it was a distraction. Sometimes when you have really bad anxiety, you need something to distract yourself. So I actually found it very therapeutic to watch the wingsuit flyers. I thought they were amazing. They fly at 180 miles an hour. And it's really dangerous. And the reason I was drawn to Brandon is because his cinematography was fantastic and the music on his videos were really good. So I was drawn to him for that reason. But also because he's the only wingsuit pilot that kind of mentions little bits about things to do with mental health. And that was the other reason that I was drawn to Brandon. And finally, because Brandon's also very approachable, he actually communicates with fans on the internet, whereas with the other pilots, you wouldn't even know where to contact them. So Brandon's very approachable, and we're really impressed that he's joined us all the way from across the pond on our show. So Brandon, let's just start with before you became a wingsuit pilot. I understand that you were dealing with mental health issues, social anxiety. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's definitely correct. I've definitely dealt with a lot, just like a lot of other people have. I mean, I think a lot of us have certain issues, whether they're small issues, huge issues, I think we all have something. So for me, anxiety was huge. I was literally completely terrified of death. I would pace around my room. I'd pace around my house for hours on end at night. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't do anything. I mean, it was insane. I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know how to describe it to people. I thought I was the only one. You know what I mean? Like, it's really one of those weird things. So it was completely mind-boggling to me that like this could happen. I've never had it before. Then it just kept happening and happening and worse and worse. I didn't know how to feel. I'm terrified of death, but I'm stuck in my room. I don't know what to do, and like just pacing, and like it just felt like I was physically dying. It felt like maybe I was gonna have a heart attack. Like it was insane, and I've just never experienced that before. And then all of a sudden it just happened all the time and I couldn't get rid of it. Yeah.
So Brandon, what was it that you discovered that got you out of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously for a lot of people it's going to be different, but I think for me, I was at an unsure time in my life. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what I was doing. All these factors just started to stack on itself. So I wouldn't say it was like one thing that I could like pick and choose, but I do know that once I started to find a purpose for certain things, I really started to like focus in on me. So once I focused in on me and what I wanted out of my life, things that made me happy, how do I really just focus in on making my path better and doing what I want to do? And once I started to do that, it was crazy how then that started to slowly drift away. And then of course that's when I found wingsuiting, right? Like I really wanted to focus in on what I wanted to do with my life and why I wasn't really satisfied, right? Like maybe I had some issues with just not being satisfied with my life and where I was going. And then it's crazy because then I was so terrified of death, but yet at the same time, this is one of the deadliest sports in the world, right? So it's funny how then that changes because I also felt like I forced myself into actually analyzing why I was afraid of death, right? It's not like it happened overnight, right? Everything takes steps, and I slowly took it down that path to like really get over that fear. But it's crazy how I'm completely terrified of one thing and can't function. And then all of a sudden now it's something that I do on a daily basis, right? Like I put my life at risk and don't even think twice about it in the sense of like, like, it's not going to cripple me, right? Like I've really gotten a hold of it and and like, I feel like my mental game is just on a whole nother level compared to other people, just simply because of I've taken these steps to help reduce my fear, whether that's in regular life or whether that's in a wingsuiting, you know?
So, Brandon, you said you got this terrible fear of death, and then you choose the most dangerous sport in the world. What drew you to wingsuiting rather than motorbiking or scuba diving or rock climbing?
So ever since I was a little kid, I've always dreamed of flight. So flying, right? Like it's every kid's dream, I feel like, flying through the air like Superman. My dad flew in the military. My brother went into flight school, did all that stuff in the military. So for me, it was just one of these processes that I've just always thought about. It's always been a part of my life. Ever since I was a little kid, I've always been around planes. It's just always been there. So for me, even though that path wasn't for me in particular with the military, I then decided that this is what I want to do. I just don't know how to do it. Then, luckily, like way back when YouTube wasn't what it is now, I randomly saw a video, and there was one of my good friends now who is Yoke Summer. And so I saw him flying through the Alps and flying through Norway and everything in this wingsuit. And I was like, oh my God, I know what I want to do. That's what I want to do. And immediately it was like, that's what I'm going to do. And then that's when I started down the path.
Actually, it was I watched the Yoki Summer doing with his friends doing the series on YouTube called The Perfect Flight,
Oh, yeah.
and that was I think that was the first time I saw a wingsuit video, and I watched I watched that Perfect Flight so many times. There's 6 or 7 in the series, and that's how I discovered your videos started coming up because of their videos, and I think I watched every wingsuit video on YouTube at that time. But anyway, Brandon, can you tell us? To me, wingsuiting is the essence of mindfulness. And I used to teach courses in mindfulness, and I actually, after watching your videos and Yoki Summer, I actually created a mini module on wingsuiters in our class, okay? And it wasn't really to get people to start wingsuiting, it was really to show how you guys are an inspiration, because a lot of people are struggling with anxiety and fear, and you guys just jump off out a plane, jump off a cliff, and you deal with that dread and fear all the time. And that's why I wanted to use you guys as a metaphor for how to overcome fear and anxiety, and also being when you're wingsuiting, that is a pure mindfulness. Do you experience mindfulness at all when you're flying?
Yeah, so I mean, the main thing too with that is like, I think a lot of people also expect us not to really have fear, right? They expect us that like we're not afraid of heights. Like me and Yoke, completely terrified of heights. Like, do not want to be on the edge of anything. I hate it. Everything about it is terrifying, right? Like we're normal like everybody else. But I think what it is what separates us is that we didn't just go into this sport, right? Like we didn't just roll out of bed and decide to go do this. But like everything else in life, is you can take certain steps to help reduce that. So what we do is like, for me, I'm terrified of spiders, right? Completely terrified of them. I don't know what it is. It just freaks me out. So then what I started to learn is, hey, if I just reach my hand out, if I see a spider, like a small little spider, nothing big, and just let it crawl on me, let it get near me, that fear slowly starts to go away, right? Like the spider's not going to harm you. You know, it's not a deadly spider. It's not going to bite you. There's a lot of spiders that can't even bite you, right? So then you just start to really like let it crawl over you. Then the spiders get a little bit bigger. Then you start that again. It's those small things that then allow you to get over certain fears, because a lot of fears are not real fears, right? Like I have a fear of speaking in front of people, right? Like a lot of people do. When I've done speeches and done these things where I've had to stand up in front of, 50 to 100 people, oh man, like I'm more terrified doing that than I am jumping off of a cliff. But again, through learning that like fear is not real, right? It's something that we're just trying to really project on ourselves, that like something bad's going to happen. But 99% of the fears that most of us have are not going to harm you, right? Like, yes, there's obviously a fear of staying on the edge of a cliff because you might fall off. That's a reasonable fear. But most of the fears of speaking in public, fears of being in crowded spots, fears of, death, all these other things are not really real. They're things that are not going to physically harm you. So then if you work on those smaller things to get over those, then it really turns into something where you can really put it into everyday life. So for me, obviously it was the fear of death. That was a crippling thing that I could not get over. Well, I started working on those aspects of my life of like, how can I get over fear of talking in public? How can I get over, fear of spiders? And then I slowly just worked my way through and just got over these smaller fears and more and more and more. And the next thing you know, now I'm jumping out of an airplane. Now I'm jumping off of cliffs. And because of the training and everything else we do, we're just not allowing the fear of something to cripple us from doing what we want to do. And that's what it comes down to. And that's where, even though wingsuiting is so far left from the rest of the world and people can't relate to that, to me, I say you can relate to that. It's an everyday thing. And I bring that back to fear of speaking in public, fear of quitting my job, fear of getting into a relationship or anything else like that. Like all these things are relatable, but I don't allow them to cripple me anymore because I know that it's not real. This is not going to harm me. These things are not going to kill me. So then it's really started to build over into my life, my real life. And now, for the past however many years now, it's been limitless. I don't let things limit me because I know that these fears aren't real. They're things I'm making up in my mind. And that has helped. And then on top of that too, a lot of people would argue that when you do jump and you do these extreme things, there's a form of meditation in there. So like, even though it's on the far extreme where now you're doing something, where you're not just sitting there and actually meditating, I don't think about anything. I don't think about my job. I don't think about what I have to do. I don't think about money. I don't think about anything else. I'm literally just living in the moment. And so that mindfulness there is huge because it allows you to escape the everyday stuff that's going on,
Well, no, that was fantastic, Brandon. That was really good theory that you're giving us there. Now, my next question, you kind of already answered this question, but I'd like to ask you anyway. Can you give us one or two handy tips on how to deal with anxiety? Because most people who are watching this suffer from anxiety, stroke, depression. Can you give us one or two more handy tips on how to deal with anxiety?
Yeah, I mean, of course it's going to be different for everybody, but for me, it was like I was mentioning earlier about taking tiny little fears that aren't real and then trying to get over those and then going on to the next one that's maybe slightly more and then trying to get over it. It's really, you're just building up like anything else, right? Like anything else in your life that you're training for, that you're working for, you have to train to do it. It's not like all of a sudden you just wake up one day and this fear is done and then it's like you don't have anxiety anymore, right? Like I work on it every day of my life to try and get over these things and to make sure it doesn't come back into my life. So, really just working on these smaller things of trying to get over that, whether it's, fear of spider, fear of speaking in public, just doing small things. Start out, like say it's a fear of speaking in public, right? Then what I've done personally is then gone on podcasts. So I'm not really a podcast guy as far as like wanting to be and like speaking a bunch and talking about myself. But when this first started and I had a bunch of people reaching out, I was like immediately like, okay, here's a small thing that I can get over with. It's just a couple of us speaking. Maybe there's a few more people on like the other end, but just a few of us. And then I would work on that. Okay, let's do a few podcasts. Let's do this. And then maybe it'd be like I'd get reached out to do like a talk somewhere that then was like 20 people or 30 people. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's do this. And like I'm just slowly just working my way up and trying to build in that, and I think a lot of people just want this to be over with and just want it to be like, no, I want a quick fix. It's never going to be a quick fix, right? Like we just need to constantly work on it and getting over these tiny fears and building on that. We'll just continue to build on everything else. And the next thing you know, you've reached your biggest fear that you've had, and now you've conquered it because it's not that big of a deal anymore.
So, Brandon, we've been in lockdown for the past 2 months, and for the first time in history, the world has literally come to a standstill. But even here in the UK, lockdown is starting to lift, and we're starting to get back to normal. Do you have any plans for the future with your wingsuiting?
Yeah, right now my main focus and the thing me and my cameraman have really been focusing on is my school. So I started a base jumping school about a year ago, roughly, like a year and a half ago. And that's something that we really focused in on. So instead of doing these other jobs and things like that, I've decided to really put my focus into that. I feel like there's a huge need for people to get the right information, and I feel like me and my buddy and like the work that we've put into this school to try and make it right, pretty much deserves all my attention. So that's really what I'm focused in on, is really trying to teach people and get the new generation of jumpers up and going, and hopefully steer them in the right direction.
So, Brandon, you're such an inspirational guy. People watching that they're probably going to want to get in touch with you and even just say hello, like I did. And I was actually amazed that you said hello back, because I thought, wow, Brandon Mikesell said hello to me. How do people? How do fans and people? How do they contact you, Brandon?
Yeah, so there's several ways to contact me. So on Instagram, it's bmikesell23. And then on Facebook, it's just my name. If you just type in Brandon Mikesell, you can find me. But I really do appreciate, though, that you said that, because that is a huge thing to me, and it does mean a lot to me. And I don't think people realize how much, that really, really does mean a lot to me. I want to make sure that I'm always accessible to anybody who wants to reach out, anybody who wants to talk, anybody who needs a friend, anybody. Like, I'm really one of those people where if somebody wants to take 10 seconds out of their day to reach out to me and try and chat with me, then I'm going to take at least 10 seconds out of my day to return the favor. So thank you, man. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, it means a lot.
Actually, I've got one more question, one more extra question I want to ask Brandon, because there are two videos in particular I really like and I can recommend you watch. And the problem is I can't work out where this happened, because Brandon goes all around the world with his wingsuiting. Now, the first video that I saw you in, which I really liked, and the music's fantastic, really good music. It's a female vocalist, I think. You're flying over that Swiss. It looks like a Swiss cottage, or thatched cottage or something. Where was that?
Yeah, so there's actually up in Switzerland. It's like I believe it's like I think it's southeast Switzerland. I haven't been there in a while, so I'd have to check in on that. But yeah, it is in Switzerland. It's a beautiful, beautiful mountain. It's actually where they filmed the new Point Break. It's actually that same mountain that they filmed it off of. It's a beautiful, beautiful mountain. Yeah, and they had they had this little college that was out there, had horses and cows and everything out there, so we'd always fly by it. Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful landscape.
So I guess the people that live there must be used to wingsuiters flying over their house every day.
Yeah, so back when I started, fortunately, there wasn't that many wingsuiters. Now, obviously, there's a lot more, but back when I started, there wasn't as many. And so what we've done now, though, is that we've blocked out that area. Yeah, because they'd be like, oh, here comes another wingsuiter. It's super loud. So we did it I think we did it for about a year and a half. But again, there was only a few of us. So it wasn't that many. But then it just got to the point where like we needed to make sure that, like we stay away from their stuff and not bug them every time, because now the sport started to grow and everything. So now wingsuiters stay away from that area. But yeah.
And there's one other location. It's a really good film. It's a really good video. I watched it a million times. It's the one where you and your partner, your buddy, get in a helicopter and you take off, and then you just jump out, and then you're suddenly flying through some skyscrapers. Where was that?
Yeah, so that was in Panama. So Panama is a beautiful, beautiful country. But what a lot of people don't realize is it's almost like a New York City, or it's almost like a Dubai. It has huge skyscrapers everywhere, but most people don't know that. So we got in contact with some locals, had some friends there, and went out there and had like a good time. And thankfully, like, Panama was great to us. They treated us extremely well. We got to pretty much do almost anything we wanted because they saw where we were coming from and our history and our background. And so they were amazing to us. We've been out there several times since and done like a lot of projects out there. So they've been super, super nice to us. But Panama is a beautiful, beautiful country, and Panama City is a beautiful city as well too.
Brandon Mikesell, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
So that was Brandon Mikesell speaking to us from Seattle in America, and I hope to have Brandon back on the show later on after lockdown to hear about his future, his further adventures wingsuiting around the world. Next, we've got another guest, and I earlier on I spoke to a local lady in Kinross, Jo Middlemas, about her well-being project, for her Ethiopia health project in Africa, of course, and I wanted to do something to let people know about her project for a while now. So I now have my opportunity to bring to you the work that she's been doing. So I'm just going to run VT, and it's just a few minutes long. So let's enjoy this interview with Jo. Run VT. And today we have Jo Middlemas, MBE, and she's a local lady from Kinross. She's also a life coach, and her company is Dreams Work. And Jo also runs the Ethiopia Medical Project in Africa. Welcome to the show, Jo.
Thank you, Vince. Very nice to be with you.
So, Jo, tell me about the Ethiopia Medical Project.
The Ethiopia Medical Project was founded by myself and my cousin Maureen after she had made a trip to Ethiopia, and she was taken to a clinic in the south of Ethiopia where there was a group of Franciscan sisters running a clinic, very basic clinic in the middle of absolutely nowhere, very, very rural part of Ethiopia, where there was literally hundreds and hundreds of women suffering from uterine prolapse. Uterine prolapse is a woman's condition whereby after long labors and the very heavy loads that they carry, where the part of their body that's supposed to be on the inside falls out and is on the outside. It's very painful, very debilitating condition. And there are many, many hundreds of women over there who suffered from it when we arrived on the scene. So that's how we got involved in it. And we thought we've got to be able to do something for these people and for the sisters who were looking after them.
So, Jo, we spoke last year about doing some kind of video projects about your charity. And do you remember you told me the story about a man and his foot? Tell us that story again.
Well, after we had been doing the work with the prolapse mothers for so many years, a condition in Ethiopia came to light called podoconiosis. It's a type of elephantiasis, non-filarial, and the people get it from the soil that they work on. Now, remember that these are rural subsistence farmers, and they plow their fields barefoot. And within the soil, the volcanic soil, there's little silicon chips of spicules that get into their feet and cause their feet to swell, and the whole lymphatic drainage system of the leg starts to break down. So one of the people that we met there had, his feet were so bad that the hospital had said the only thing we can do with your feet is to amputate them. Now, if he had his feet amputated, he would have lost his livelihood completely. So he came to the clinic with his very, very badly diseased feet, and the clinic have brought him to health again. And we've been told many times how this man hasn't lost his feet is amazing, and it's because of the love and the care that he's got at the clinic. But when people have this same illness to a far lesser degree, it is totally reversible, totally curable, and totally preventable, which is where we have put our efforts on educating and curing. It's a tremendous cause and very difficult to achieve, and even more difficult now that COVID-19 has struck in this country and there.
So Joe, people watching, if they want to find out more about your charity and your work, if they want to maybe donate to your charity, how do they contact you?
Well, they can contact us on our website, which is www.ethiopiamedicalproject.com. And we would be very, very happy to see them. All of those emails would be, or messages would be picked up by our webmaster and forwarded on to us. And you can see the work we do there and the development. We started in a very, very small way, literally helping with some food and medicine. And now we're responsible for the salaries of the entire staff and for the care of these 500 or 600 people that come to the clinic every day to have their feet treated. So it's an amazing project. And we're very, very lucky to be involved in it.
So, Joe, I'd just like to finish by saying, recently you were awarded the MBE. Now, how was that? And you'd appeared in the local Kinross newsletter. It was a quite a remarkable event for Kinross as well. How did that affect you?
Well, it was absolutely thrilling and a total surprise, I have to say, an absolute surprise. We're very, very excited because we knew that award was not just for us, but for all the people that have donated to the charity and all the people over there. And the idea that Maureen and I would go and meet the Queen because of them created a tremendous thrill. But now, sadly, we were supposed to be going for our MBE on June the 25th. That's been cancelled. The Queen is in lockdown, same as the rest of us. And now, as you know, there's been many more heroes, NHS heroes and different types of heroes. I'm afraid our little bit of heroism will go down to the bottom of the pile. But it doesn't matter. I can still put MBE at the end of my name and know that we and our work has been recognised, and that's all we need, really.
So folks, again, we'll be bringing up the website for the Ethiopia Medical Project, and if you want to help Jo and donate to her cause, that would be very much appreciated. So, Jo Middlemas, MBE, thank you very much.
Thank you, Vincent. It's been a delight.
So that was Jo Middlemas there, doing some incredible work in Africa. And I often think that how lucky we are here in the West that there are some people in Africa who can't even drink clean water, and I try not to take things like that for granted. And so if you can help Jo with her project or donate to her charity, you've seen the website, and I intend to play this interview on future shows as well, just so that people don't forget too quickly. So sadly, folks, we've come to the end of the show nearly. I'm not going to have time to play the mindful eating report this week, so I will try and make some time on next week's show for how to do mindful eating and drinking. But before we go, I'm going to give you my recommended inspirational movie for this week, and the movie that I would like to recommend that you watch is the Truman Show. Again, if you're stuck indoors during lockdown and you're looking for something positive to do, watching an uplifting, positive movie such as The Truman Show, I can recommend that. And The Truman Show is again, it's about the human spirit uh, rising above oppression, and in this movie, deception, complete and utter deception. And I'm thinking of the example that David Icke gives when he talks about the human race being suppressed. He describes it like if you take a ball and you push it under the water, no matter how long you try and hold it down, eventually the ball is going to rise up to the surface, and that is what the ball will do. And very much in this movie, the character that Jim Carrey plays is trying to break through suppression and deception. So that's the movie that I would uh, recommend that you watch. And all that remains for me to say is thank you to our guests tonight, Brandon Mikesell, Joe Middlemas, and to our raconteurs tonight. We had Laura Binney, William Ritchie, Haley Pender, and I'm sure, and also thank you to you, the viewers who are watching the show. I hope you enjoyed our gentle movement tonight, and I hope you enjoyed our interviews with our inspirational people tonight. So, I will see you next time for another episode of the Wellbeing Show. Thanks for joining us. Run credits. Bye for now.